This is the Backlot 605 podcast, and it is now time for another interview from the Backlot. Welcome to the Backlot 605 podcast. I'm one of your hosts. I am Casey Kelderman.
I'm Brian Mensing.
Brian, today we are joined on this special interview on the Backlot 605 podcast by two of the founders, the creators, the co-creators of the Hazard Film Project, Daniel Bergeson and Bobby Peacock. How are you, fellas?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Bobby?
Dude, I'm doing fantastic. I am actually super excited to be here. It's been a long time coming. A lot of communication back and forth.
Oh yeah, so many emails.
For sure.
This has been months in the making? Because we started talking in March-ish, February maybe.
Probably February, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having us. It's really great to be here.
Absolutely. I'm super happy to finally get you guys on, and we had a whole pandemic that kind of threw us into a loop for the first half of this, trying to schedule this interview.
What?
Yeah. Have you guys heard about this?
Yeah.
This is news to me.
Yeah.
Quarantina 19 or something like that?
I've made many quarantinis.
Yeah, quarantinis.
Sure.
Oh,
That's the only way to survive it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
My favorite so far has been that somebody said that there was 18 other iterations, and that's why they called it COVID-19. I'm like, check your math.
Yeah, 2020, what a year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we're glad to have you guys on. We're going to be talking about the Hazard Film Project. But before we get into that, let's talk to you guys and get to know you guys a little more, because from what it sounds like, you guys are movie guys too. You're obviously going to be making a film, so that's a big part of it. So what is your guys' background, and why is film the medium you guys gravitate towards? I'll start with Daniel with that question.
Well, I'm honored. Movies, I guess I've been making films for probably like 8 years now. Basically I came upon this project like over 3 years ago, actually. It started out as a short concept that a friend of mine texted me, and he was like, hey, what do you think of this? I think this needs to be a thing. And I was like, oh, like, can I write this? Or like, are you going to write it? And he's like, I'm not going to write it, so you can write it. So I banged out a first draft that night, and it was not good. It was melodramatic, and it was like the themes were clear, but like it's nothing like what it is now. And so it's gone through like a couple dozen drafts over the last few years. And I wrote it in my time at Augustana now, and now that I graduated, I'm able to put a lot more time into actually what now is a nonprofit and community project. And so it's more than just a film now, but it started out as a concept of just a film. So, yeah.
Yeah, as for me, so I've been doing, I'm old. Well, not super old, but 27 old. So I've been doing video for the past 8 years with just various organizations, churches, and stuff like that. Yeah, I went to school for YouTube kind of thing. Yeah, and so
you went to school for YouTube?
No. I went to the school of YouTube.
I was like, where's the school? Where do I sign up?
Yeah, no. And then I also got trained before that by a dude by the name of Corey Vins. He's been in the video industry for the past 25, 30, going on 30 years. So. Super cool dude, taught me everything I know, and then YouTube picked up the rest. And so now we're working on this film project, which is
he knows everything
crazy.
About gear. He knows
I'm a
literally everything there is to know about gear.
I'm a gearhead when it comes to video equipment. So
we know who we need to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of started with the where you kind of came up with this here with the Hazard Film Project. Where have you gone to try to develop this and kind of bring this to where you're at right now?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the first concept. I mean, like I said, it came from someone who, his name's AJ Crumley. He's going to be credited as story at this point because he helped me sort of work through some of the main plot points. But basically, It's been an intensive research process over the last few years. So basically, the concept of the film, it centers on a black family as they take a camping road trip for the first time, and basically they end up encountering a couple of police officers along the way who end up treating them differently simply because of the way that they look and the fact that they're out of place traveling. And so basically, there's been a lot of just sort of different avenues of research that when it's like hands-on stuff. I was able to participate in a police use of force class for it was a day-long class at SDSU, and so basically the guy who teaches all the police officers how to be police officers was like, yeah, you can come and join. And I was just really interested in sort of how cops interact when it comes to subduing and when it comes to escalation or de-escalation. And that was sort of a really important research moment because we're including the characters of police officers. It was really important to talk to as many people within law enforcement education as possible to kind of get an inside knowledge. And so, and just read countless books about, people of color in nature and just in general, just research on, sociological research, I guess. And of course, talking with people who have experienced things like what's going on in the script, because, as a white guy writing about this type of experience and these characters, it's not my story. But the point is, it's something that in my heart, I feel like I need to use my voice in order to amplify other perspectives. And that's kind of what drives me to tell stories. And so that's the heart of this project. It's to collaborate with people who have different perspectives than I do. So.
Yeah, let's talk about some of those different perspectives, because I want to talk about so when we were discussing about you guys coming on, there was some big things that happened in between then.
Yep.
Okay, we had a global pandemic, which we already talked about, but there's also been major riots and social protests out there. How has that either influenced or further enhanced this project and the point you guys are trying to get across and the message you're trying to convey for the film?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that.
Yeah, I've been talking too much.
So I met up with Daniel about a year ago, and he brought this project to me and was like, hey, would love to have you on it. And at first I was like, man, I don't know, especially as a black guy living in a majority of a white community. I was like, I don't know if I want to have this kind of conversation, just because one, it's a sensitive conversation. Two, I might get labeled as the angry black man. Mm-hmm. And so those are two things that I was fighting, but I was like, you know what? Now is the time. And so we started working. I mean, he's been working on this project for the past 3 years, and I've been working on it for almost a month now.
A year, you mean? What?
Yeah, sorry, not a month.
A year.
A year.
He's been on the project for a year.
Sorry, I've been on the project for a year.
We just looped you into the conversation. We figured he'd bring you in.
So I've been working on it for the past year now. And man, it's the time is now. And it's crazy how this Mr. George Floyd stuff has happened. And I remember doing some various other projects, and I did a video, and there's a lot of this stuff that's going on that I've been dealing with my whole life, with how police treat me because of the color of my skin. Obviously, for the people that are listening, I'm a black dude. I got dreadlocks. I got tattoos. I mean, I weigh 315 pounds, so I look intimidating, and I know that. And so this is a real issue, and part of this is what I've learned is how do we move this conversation forward? And how do we create safe places to be able to have this conversation? And I think that's the biggest thing, is that we're creating necessary conversations that need to be had in our community. And a lot has come out of this project. And it's a tragedy what happened to Mr. George Floyd. But the reality is it's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if you want to add to that, Al.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think what's so interesting, we're really grateful for the media coverage and whatnot that we've gotten, but I think the only reason we've gotten the kind of media coverage that we have is because of this Black Lives Matter movement that has now exploded. Like I said, this project particularly is not new, and of course this systematic racism is not new either. And so the fact that we have people, white people, who are like, oh yeah, oh wait, this is a thing, like this is an outrage, this is disgraceful. It's like people are waking up now, which I think it's such an interesting question to ask, like, why now? And that's what I keep asking myself and other people. It's just like, why is it that the majority of people now are starting to care about Black Lives Matter movement and the people of color in the U.S. and in the world? Basically, I think it's great that we're talking about it, but we're not on time. It's basically, it's too late, but also really important, so we should get on it now. And it's also too often too little as well, which what I'm realizing is there's a lot of passion in people to do something, to tell stories about people of color, and to actually make equitable change. But a lot of people don't really know where to start, or don't really know what to do. And I feel that all the time too. And it's something I think we have to work together on, and ask each other, how can white people ask people of color, what can I do for you in this regard? Think about people in a way where it's like, what I'm just talking about general empathy, I guess. And that's part of behind making this film is to facilitate that empathy, for the people who end up being the audience for it. And so, because empathy is a very powerful thing. And once you feel that, and once you experience it, I mean, you're able to see the world not as another person, but really you have that passion to change the world in the way that they see it. And so, that's what we're trying to do, facilitate empathy,
And if I can quick add on to that, I think there's a difference between, I can't say empathy and sympathy, so I just did. Awesome, great. There's a big difference between sympathy and empathy. I think sympathy is like, oh man, like they're victims and we feel bad for them. But empathy is like, man, we want to walk alongside you during this time, and the empathy requires action. So yeah.
What do you guys think it is that has sparked some of this action? Like this isn't a new thing that's been going on, and we've had riots before and marches before. Why do you think it is now here in 2020 that this is all coming to? It seems like a climax right now. It really feels like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think even like back, I think it was 7 years ago. There was some stuff, and there was, more talk about it. But now it seems like people are really starting to realize, like, oh snap, like this is a problem. I mean, and I think it's just a reality of people realizing, like, wow, this is an issue. I mean, even before the Mr. George Floyd incident, there was a man that was running and he got shot by 2 white dudes. And so I think people are starting to realize, like, yes, there's a problem and we need to address it. But there are some people, I mean, you scroll down Facebook, and I mean, there was a picture, a friend of mine that I went to school with, and he's a white dude, put a picture of an Asian sitting in the sand and saying, like basically saying, we don't blame her for Harbor, whatever. Pearl Harbor. Yeah. And I saved the picture, and honestly, I was so frustrated because it's like you're totally missing the point. Mm-hmm. At this point, it has nothing to do with slavery. I mean, did slavery suck? Yeah, for my ancestors. Did Jim Crow laws suck for my ancestors? Absolutely. But everything has to do with equality. And I think that's the reality, is like we can walk in, I tell people this, so, we think of Sioux Falls, right? If I walk on the south side of 57th and Minnesota, where all the nice houses are, right? I wear a hoodie, all black or whatever. I know the police are going to get shot, right? Because I don't have that privilege.
Called. Not shot.
Sorry. My wording is just off today.
You might get shot.
I might get shot. That's what I meant. Yeah. And the police are going to get called. But if I walk in the hood and all three of us are walking in the hood, who do you think is going to be welcomed?
Right.
The homeboy, you know? And it's like, and so I think people, like I said, people are realizing that there is a problem and it needs to be talked about. But some people are still, the sad part is there's some people that are still ignorant to it. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we want to continue to move the conversation with film, because film is powerful. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know what you...
Yeah, I mean, well, when you see something on a screen, there's just something about that. And when we talk about the videos that we've seen of these murders that have happened, I think that the timing, like it's just sort of like the mantra recently, timing is everything. And the timing of coronavirus making it so that everyone is on their phones and looking at social media all the time. And then coupled with the fact that we are able to record these instances in a honestly high degree of production value. I hate to say it that way.
Or even in real time for that matter.
In real time, yeah. Exactly. And where you can hear everything and you can see everything and all the evidence is there. So that coupled with the fact that everyone's watching all the time and easy to share it, I think that is sort of what's created this passion within a large community. And so, but yeah, it goes back to the filming of things. I mean, there's something about filming something that when you put it in front of people, they can sometimes be, more impacted than if they were there in person. I feel like it gives this like heightened view of something, especially if you're just immersed in it. So, yeah.
Well, Will Smith I think it was Will Smith that put this quote out there that like, racism hasn't stopped. Videos just have become more prevalent.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That racism it's these things have always been happening. Yep. It's just that now we're documenting it. Yep. Right. Yep.
Technology has been bringing it to the forefront.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Which is one thing I was kind of thinking is that do you think, the reason why everything seems to be now is because technology has brought it up front. The other thing I think of is, especially when you talk about George Floyd, is I think the big thing is that it's all about the geography.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that if George Floyd had lived in LA, I don't think it would have happened. I think it was, the combination of, like you said, we're stuck at home. We got nothing else better to do than scroll the internet. Mm-hmm. And it happened basically in the white backyard.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing too, is like, especially here in South Dakota, they're like, man, it's like the conversations that I've had, it's like, man, this is crazy. It happened 4 hours away from here, or 5.5 hours away from here. And I'm like, for me, it's like, take a walk in my shoes, for a day and let me know how you feel, and because that stuff even happens here.
It happens in our backyard, like literally.
Yeah. Like, so we recently worked on a project together. Daniel produced it, and then I was the DP and directed it, called Black. And part of that was, it was a short that was super simple, and it just talked about how like the world may see black people, and then also like how we are created to be and how we should see ourselves. And part of that process is that we talked to, we did some interviews and we just asked them like, hey, do you travel? What's it like to travel? What racist experiences have you experienced while traveling?
These are all local, like Sioux Falls people.
Yeah, these are all local Sioux Falls people. And there's one story that, it just absolutely, one of the most powerful stories that was told was a young man decides to go on a run, and he lives on the outskirts of town, and he's running back home, just taking a jog. A farmer decides to load up his 2 dogs and a shotgun and hold him at gunpoint. And guess where that was? That was right here in Sioux Falls. And so my frustration is that people say, like, oh, racism doesn't really exist. Okay. Walk a mile in my shoes. Mm-hmm. Recognize how many doors get locked when you walk by cars or walk out in a parking lot. When you walk in stores, recognize like, oh, snap. 2 minutes later, a security guard is following me around the store. And it's just crap like that honestly really frustrates me, and that people aren't willing to admit that. And I think more than ever, people are starting to realize, okay, there's a problem.
Mm-hmm. And we heard, over a dozen stories of individual people who had multiple stories of just recounting these types of instances. Like, not all of them were as extreme as having a shotgun pulled on you and having vicious dogs want to tear you apart, but just it's a spectrum. And we heard so many stories that happened around here, which we will be releasing these interviews at some
shortly,
point. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, but yeah, it's just time and time again. You talk to a person of color in the community, very, very likely they're going to have a story for you. Yeah. So it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Let's transition back to the Hazard Project. Let's talk about the filmmaking aspect of it. Mm-hmm. What are some of the movies that influence you guys, especially when you're getting into production on the film? What are some of the movies that you guys look towards to influence you on this?
Yeah. He's directing it, so he's a big dog.
Yeah. So it's a road trip film, and so like wanted to definitely. It's about a family, so it's not just like you have your road trip films where it's like it's sort of two unlikely characters get together, and it's not like that.
It's not going to be like Due Date or Vacation.
Definitely not.
Sequel.
Right.
So there's a film that was at Sundance in 2018. It's called The Long Dumb Road, which is I didn't get to see the premiere. I was at Sundance that year, but I didn't get to see the premiere but I did get to see one of a few of the actors talking about the process. And basically, that film is going to be shot in a very similar style. I actually have a few sort of screen grabs from the film on our Kickstarter website or webpage for kind of what the aesthetic is going to be like. And so, like Little Miss Sunshine, also for some, like I just really enjoy that sort of aesthetic as well, mm-hmm. and the cultural aspect, because we're going to be. It's set in Cleveland, Ohio, and then the road trip happens like on the road set in Oklahoma. We're going to be shooting in South Dakota, but it's set in Oklahoma. And so basically just a lot of sort of, it's an indie road trip drama feel, but it has sort of like a family feel to it, because we have this basically a father and his brother and then his son. So a father, uncle, and then the son. And so basically it centers on the protagonist of father who's about 30 years old. He's got a 13-year-old son, 12-year-old son, and then his brother who's about the same age as him. And so basically it's three guys who feel really out of place, but on the road, but also it's something within the father who wants to take his son and his brother on this trip. He's like, this is just something that's really important to him. And so it's basically like a what if scenario. What would it be like for a first time road trip, where it's like, if he's never done this before, they don't have, they've just purchased all the camping equipment. They've just, mapped out their roadmap. And it's just basically like, what are the anxieties that happen? And so it's meant to just sort of be a character study about a family, just basically what are their anxieties are on this trip. And then, so does that make sense? Was that clear?
Have y'all ever seen the movie Get Out?
Yes.
Yeah. So
if they haven't, they're wrong.
Yeah. So like, think about like the dad as the main character, and then Uncle Kev. He's kind of the comedian, and so I forgot the name of the dude that plays the.
What's his name?
Edit this out. Stop it. You're gonna edit this out. No, I know his name. You just caught me off guard. His name is Jay Dukes. He's a comedian who lives in Atlanta. Yeah. He's gonna be playing Uncle Kevin. So this is going to be his sort of debut as an actor in a film, but he's this amazing comedian and like live host, and so he does a lot of great social media stuff where it's like, okay, this guy actually is great in front of the camera. So,
yeah. So yeah, where I was going with this is like, you think of the movie Get Out and how, like, I mean, it's a serious movie, but it has those spots of humor and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of like the same vibe, you know?
Yeah,
So-
when it comes to, like, basically the characters are very self-aware of the fact that they're out of place, and they're sort of cracking jokes about themselves.
Yep.
It's like, why are we even doing this?
Yeah.
Like, this is stupid.
The reality is that black people don't go camping.
Yeah.
Not a lot. I should say not a lot, but
Right. It does happen.
it does.
absolutely-
I've been camping, so
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you've lived in South Dakota, you've gone like camping once. You think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it is hard to kind of describe, but it's meant to be first a road trip film, basically, and it's sort of other things expanding upon that.
Yep.
Awesome. I love road trip movies, like dramatic, comedic, whatever. I mean, some of my favorite movies ever are road trip movies, and
Well, yeah, of course, because Road Trip literally is one of your favorite movies.
road trip is great.
It's terrible. You and I have had this conversation. It's terrible. I will take your road trip over your road trip any day.
Oh,
So
I don't know about that.
is Hangover classified as a road trip movie?
That's up to you.
Man, I don't know. I think the first half is.
Yeah.
Right?
I was leaning more towards Tommy Boy, but
Okay.
Oh, there you
I
go.
just watched that film for the first time like 2 months ago. Actually, literally.
This goes to show my age in this room.
Wow.
I don't know why. It had been on my list for years, but for some reason it took me until like 2 months ago to watch it for the first time. Loved it. It's fantastic. Of course,
Anything
you guys
Chris
already know
Farley.
Yeah.
Anything Chris Farley.
that. This is true.
So y'all seen the movie Cool Runnings, right?
Of course.
yeah.
So the coach in that movie, he was also in a road trip.
John
movie.
John Candy.
Yeah.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
There it is. There it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone's got to do a road trip movie for sure. They're so technically hard, like logistically, to shoot. Though I want you to know, like we're going through pre-production stuff right now, and oh my god, like moving vehicles,
Rigging.
rigging. Like we have a really great crew working on it, but I'm nervous, like definitely.
Yeah. Even like I was watching I think it was a commercial or a movie, and like your dad brought this up to Rodney, another executive producer. He brought this up that you don't want the car going like 40 miles an hour. You want it to go like maybe 10, 15, 20 max.
Right. Yeah.
And I was watching a movie, and they were in a car, and I'm like, that car is not going super fast.
Yeah. It's
Too much road noise.
Well, that and the motion
Motion blur doesn't look right.
The motion blur doesn't look good, unless you're in like a Fast and Furious movie.
And even then, it's not real anyway.
But if you're actually going the speed limit in a car and you have a camera mounted to the vehicle, you're not going to see anything if you're going the speed limit.
Yeah.
So anytime, because we're going to be filming on a highway where the speed limit is probably 55, 60, but we're actually going to be going 20 miles an hour. Screen tests, I guess, for that. But,
Yeah.
How much of a painstake in logistics is it to be able to secure a highway?
So,
Especially on an independent level like this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we have friends. We have friends in law enforcement. We've done some pieces for the South Dakota highway safety. I've done some like public ads, just basically wear your seatbelt, stuff like that. So we know the people there. And also this highway we're using. The idea is that it's super secluded. So really great for locations because we found a very secluded highway in central South Dakota. And I won't disclose that information yet. But basically, we're still scouting for some locations, but the highway location we pretty much have nailed down somewhere in central South Dakota. So that gets virtually no traffic anyway. And so since it fits the story of the fact that, because it's a secluded highway, it just ended up working out. We wouldn't be able to secure
A piece of like 90 or something.
No.
This is it's like super like on like amongst farmland basically.
Yeah.
So
You need Disney money to do that kind of stuff.
Disney.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but yeah, it'll be logistically complicated, but that's kind of the fun of it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are shooting this all in South Dakota then?
Yes.
Correct? You said that?
Yep.
Okay.
We absolutely are.
Yeah, I love hearing that.
Yes.
Yeah. At first, when I was looking at the script, I was like, "Oh, sweet, we're gonna go to Cleveland. We're gonna go to the Grand Canyon. We're gonna go to." And then he's like, "Yeah, we're shooting this all in South Dakota." I'm like,
"We don't get to travel, but we get to shoot in South Dakota, which means we're bringing business here.
Yep,
we're
absolutely.
Going to be staying, doing all the hospitality stuff here with all the people we're bringing in. So we're bringing revenue here, and we're bringing the arts here. And so that's the point behind our organization, Hazard Film Project, is that we're trying to bring diverse art into a place that is needs that growth, basically. That it is growing. Our society is growing. We have a very diverse society, but it's not very integrated. And so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and the other part of the short film that we're doing is we're actually putting on a workshop as well, which we're super excited about too. One for high school and middle school.
Yeah, like age 14 to 17, and then so that'd be like the first half of the day, and the second half of the day is going to be adult based. And so we're still working out some of the details for that community workshop. But yeah, we're hoping to receive grant funding for that. Mm-hmm. We're going to hear back from that soon. But basically, the idea is to put our director of photography, his name's David Buchanan. He's going to be coming down from Minneapolis. He's a great cinematographer, and so the idea is to have this fantastic black artist and filmmaker to lead the filmmaking community here in Sioux Falls in an educational sort of masterclass format, where we're going to do lighting setups and basically a class on working on a film set, basically. And so it's meant to be sort of an educational aspect of it as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. South Dakota needs that. I mean, there's no real film programs here. Like you said, you learned everything on YouTube. YouTube was your teacher. Yeah.
Right. But there's the community for it though too, because I look at Sioux Empire Filmmaking, and there's like 400 members or something. I don't know, but and it's growing all the time. And there's people I'm sure who would love to be a part of that group, but they maybe don't know about it yet. And
right.
So we're trying to do community outreach, basically, of like, this is awesome. Filmmaking is really great. You can learn so much. You can teach so much. And let's grow that community together.
And honestly, like, anytime you can put a camera in someone's hand and say, shoot, film, like, create something, that just I mean, especially investing in the next generation and people who are willing to learn, that stuff excites me. So
yeah, just tell them video, not film, because they won't know what you're talking about by now.
Yeah, right.
What's film?
It's dynamic range.
Yeah. Though one of the things you bring up is that the fact that it's going to be all filmed here in South Dakota, but we're starting in Cleveland. It's supposed to begin in the Grand Canyon. You're talking about locations that we live in a very flat state, unless you happen to be clear across the West River in the mountains kind of thing. How do you plan on trying to pull off the aesthetic of someplace like Cleveland and into the like I said, the Grand Canyon?
Sure. Yeah. Well, we actually found some very. Google Maps is amazing. So basically, and looking
all the
at
time.
Google Images and whatnot. So
He's creeping.
That's creeping on the locations, and we found one location. It's because there's just one location that is technically in Cleveland. It's as they're leaving town, and we found one location here in Sioux Falls that fits the description. But when it comes to the highway, the location is in Oklahoma, and so there's actually a vast geography for Oklahoma, depending on what side of the state you're on, and so much of it actually can be faked in South Dakota, and then some of it can't as well. But the point is that you can do it, and so because it's all plains, Buffalo, Rome, in both states, right. That's the whole idea, and so it's meant to be sort of this vast prairie where it's like seclusion is a big theme, where it's like the anxiety of being alone and not knowing where you are necessarily, or not feeling comfortable about just the surroundings, basically. And so when it comes to the Grand Canyon, we don't need to get too into the script, I think I want to leave some mystery there as well.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so locations are still being worked through, but we are figuring out a way to get it all filmed in South Dakota.
And this, folks, is what you call movie magic.
Movie magic.
What is that? I thought all the stuff I saw on the TV was real.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
Harry Potter's real.
Brian, those Fast and the Furious movies are not real. They can't jump cars like that.
To pull a multi-ton safe with 2 charges is totally doable.
It's possible.
Supercharged. They did, side note, they did actually, in behind the scenes, in one of the Fast and Furious movies, they actually parachuted real cars out of, that's just, I don't know. I mean, I can, yeah.
The actors weren't really in there, but those are real cars.
They were real cars.
Cool.
That is,
So what you're saying is you guys might have parachuting cars.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Drone powered like cars, like hovering cars. Basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sci-fi film then.
Yeah.
Last question that we got here. You guys have a Kickstarter page and you just launched it, I believe, the 1st of June, correct?
June 23rd is what it was. June 23rd, right?
Was it 28th or 23rd?
Dude, we repeated it so many times. My mom made fun of me. She was like, how many more times can you say June 23rd?
It's June 23rd.
Yeah, it was June 23rd, I promise.
Yeah.
So.
Dude,
which would have been a Monday.
Yeah. Tuesday. It was
Because
Tuesday.
statistically, Tuesdays are the best days to launch Kickstarter.
Nope, you're absolutely correct. No, that exact week is where my parents' birthdays are at too. So I'm like, oh no, that's right. Theirs was Wednesday and Thursday. So no, it would be Tuesday.
Yeah. So it's Tuesday, June 23rd, and the response on Kickstarter has been
pretty awesome. Yeah.
I mean, we got people supporting local. We got people from Florida? Was it Florida?
So we have someone from Seattle who's executive producing. We have someone from New York City who's executive producing, and then someone here. And by executive producing, I mean put in $5,000, and they are also going to be involved in a lot of the creative process and post-production and whatnot.
Yep.
And we have someone locally. So, and then we have so many people who have, who can't put in $5,000, who aren't quite that fortunate, but who have been incredible in supporting it. I mean, the shares and the sort of grassroots small amounts of supporting. I mean, it's been awesome. And hopefully, we haven't met our goal yet, actually. But
we're 92%
right now.
there.
Yeah, 92% there. But the thing is, we do, right now we are at the bare minimum for a goal when it comes, if we meet that 23,000, we're still, people on set are going to be doing multiple roles.
Yep.
It's going to be super skeleton, like, basically, if we're hoping to have a stretch goal, if we can get to 30,000, then we can actually let people breathe, maybe take a break, maybe put an extra, just basically have a much better quality filming experience where that we can have a better professional environment
and more people on the set too. I mean, that's the thing is people see these movies. But a lot of times, like at the credits, they just leave, right? And y'all see how many names are, behind the credits, especially when you add, CG effects or whatever. And, but even like for something like independent like this, it still takes a crew to do it. And so, that 23,000 mark that we're at, that's like for bare bones. I mean, the goal would be if we can hit that 30 mark or even be overfunded. I mean, we were just in a conversation today and I said, it's better to be overfunded than underfunded. Yep. And so, but we're excited. I mean, even just to see, the money come in from that Kickstarter and the support come in from that Kickstarter, that means that we are providing people with potential gigs or a gig, and
we're paying the freelance filmmakers who are in the region,
exactly.
And as a nonprofit, I mean, if we do amazingly come across extra money, like we have so many outlets for use of that money when it comes to paying speakers to be a part of events, when it comes to talking about diversity in public spaces, when it comes to securing original music and all of this sort of just post-production stuff. There's just money can increase the production value, and so but we had to ask ourselves, like, what is the minimum that we can do to actually make this happen and make this a quality film? And so because no matter what, we're gonna do it, it just has to do with allocation of resources, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
I look at it this way. I'm just like, I see that you have your guys' goal set at 23,000. I'm thinking, okay, it's 2020, and the first thing I think of when I think of like people who have rised up from out of independent film, the first thing I think of is like Kevin Smith, for example, when he did Clerks. You're talking about a movie that's 26 years old, and his was 28,000. So I mean,
all on a credit card.
All on credit card debt, exactly. And it's like you're doing it for 5,000 less 26 years later.
Yeah.
Right.
So no, I think it's amazing that you guys get to where you're going to be able to get skeleton crew or not. Being able to pull it off is just an amazing feat in itself.
Yeah, and I think of like one of the especially in the black community, one of the most talented independent. He started off independent. Spike Lee, dude's a
Who's
beast.
that?
Yeah, who?
Nobody knows who that is.
I mean, and he really like, especially for black filmmakers, he really forged the way. And so to be a part of something, to be, like I said, to be a part of something that is forging a way for potentially a next generation.
And a film community that is growing. I really do feel like it is growing. Sioux Falls is booming, and with that, we have the art community. And so, it's just, I don't mean to like toot our own horn, but it's just like, it feels really good in my heart. I've been looking for a project for a long time where it's like, I really feel like I'm doing something important here, and this is, we'll just ride it as long as we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One other question I got for you guys. Then you're both from Sioux Falls. What's the next step the city has to take to further develop the film community here? Because we have a good arts community here. We have plenty of local theaters, and we have really good the live performances, the music.
The theater community is fantastic.
And it's continuously growing. But the one I feel is it's coming up behind them. It's up there. It's making its way up. Is the film community? What do you think is the next step for that to keep growing?
Yeah, I guess I'll take this one. I think it's doing stuff like this. That's huge. I know it was either last year or the year before. There was someone from T High School that made a full length film. I'm pretty sure it was full length.
I think you guys had him on, didn't you?
We did not. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
We have a mutual friend with him. He was anyway.
Brandon on.
We had Brandon.
Yep, we had Brandon on.
Who made a feature film for a very similar price point in South Dakota, all in South Dakota.
Yeah, and so I think it's like the more that we can do that, and the more that we can do workshops and educate people, and I think too, like, it's talking about like real topics. I think that's what's really going to help, because it's like, okay, like, there's like, let's say we decided, you know what, we're going to do like a Wesley Snipes, old school, like action thriller or whatever. I mean, yeah, it's going to get exposure, but I mean, the reality is like the CGI is not going to be there, the green screen and stuff like that. So if we tackle real topics and real issues, and put them in a way where it's telling a story, that people can relate to and capture that real raw emotion, I think people are more hungry for that than, I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people cried during the last Marvel movie. I mean, because it captured that real emotion.
Yeah.
But for local, I think that's what it's about, is capturing that real raw emotions and telling stuff that matters.
Yeah, and regardless of genre too, by the way, I think that, it's really important for us to remember that we can, and like you mentioned Get Out before, like that's a prime example of like taking a genre and doing something entirely unique with it, and also totally relevant to society. And so I think that we can, that's a way to inspire people. I think when it comes to community involvement in the film community here, I mean, I think one really great way is to tie in, real life issues. And that's what we already do with the stories that we tell too. But I think if we can tap into the social issues that we've been talking about, and that have been getting so much media coverage, those types of things, like, that's going to motivate people to show up and motivate people to be involved, and enrich the community. So, I challenge all the filmmakers out there to really ask yourself, like, why are you making the thing that you're making? Yeah. Like, are you just pushing record because you want to push record, or are you like, what is the heart of the thing that you are making? And like, I'm not saying that people shouldn't make the things that they want to make. I'm saying, like,
have a purpose.
What's the heart behind it?
Yeah, like, it's just like life. Like, everyone wants to have a purpose, you know? And so finding that, sometimes you find it through the work that you do, though. Sometimes you don't know it until you're making it and you're like, oh, yeah, that's it.
Well, one of the things that just as I'm picking up and absorbing what you guys are talking about here, is one of the first things that I hear is that you're not making this because of either current events or the fact that you're trying to follow somebody else's lead and whatnot. You're doing something that you want to have an impact, because one of the things you keep bringing up is, classes and basically the stuff that's going to be outside of the film, because you want to have that social impact just as much as you want to have that theatrical impact.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like I said, in all assets of this film, it's educating, whether it's educating on how we did it or if it's educating on social injustice. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and what you were saying earlier, I was going to say, if that wasn't an expensive mic band, you could do a mic drop. Killed it.
Appreciate it.
Careful with the church mics.
What did I say? I don't even know. What did I even say that was good? I don't even know.
Oh, come on, man.
Okay, whatever.
When you're talking, you don't listen to yourself.
Yeah, I know.
So, I like how you like to add this at the very end here. I didn't see this coming.
Yeah, we got
to play this game? Okay. So, completely outside of the fact that you guys are filmmakers, what would you say, respectively, for each of you here is your favorite film?
Oh, no.
I hate that question.
Let's say you're stuck on a desert island. You only get to take one movie with you. We'll put it that way.
I will tell you, at one point here, in one of my previous jobs, when new people would come in, I legit asked this question to every new person that came in, because I personally myself, maybe that's just because I am a film nerd, I do legit think you can actually understand a person based on the desert island film.
Totally.
There's so many, you guys, like, as a person behind a camera, like, there's so many deeper levels to like, oh, how was it shot versus, oh my goodness, you're gonna have to go first, man.
Well, so look, I don't like to say that I have a favorite movie, but if I did have a favorite movie, it would probably be The Princess Bride.
Classic.
Yes.
Classic.
Yeah.
That is inconceivable that you would say that.
Shut it. Probably one of the best ensemble casts we've had in over 30 years.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. So yeah, that film, definitely, I would say, like I said, I don't have a favorite, but if I did, it would be The Princess Bride.
It's a good pick.
Y'all are killing me, man.
We've had this struggle so many times too, because we've been asked that, especially as movie nerds, well, you're into movies, what's your favorite movie? It's like, how am I supposed to pick just one?
Well, and I've had that question. It's like, okay, so are we talking like a series? Are we talking just one film? Or are we doing this? It's like, for like me, for example, like if it was just one, it had to be that one film. Like, it's Goonies. Oh, you can have a trilogy? Okay, there's Back to the Future. Like, I have my, like...
Goonies. Like, okay, all right, I'm going to pick this movie, and I'm going to tell you guys. So, y'all probably have never seen this movie, Stomp the Yard. Y'all seen it?
Stomp the Yard?
Stomp the Yard.
Oh, it's been...
God. Man.
I'm trying to remember if I have or not. That movie's been around for a while.
Yeah, so I used to have every line in that movie memorized. It's about like a step team, a dude who his brother got shot and they're doing this dance battle and ripped off somebody. So he goes to this primarily it is a black college, and then basically life rearranged, changed, becomes part of the step team and stuff like that.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah. So anyways, amazing movie. I had every line in that movie memorized. The last dance battle, absolutely incredible. So it would be that. I can't honestly. I'd probably get tired of that movie. It's just.
Yeah. So what is it that connected? Like what is it?
Okay,
that
so
you with it?
Not to sound super racist or anything,
but
cool, when you grow up in a white world and all of a sudden there's a movie with all black people in it, and you're like, oh, this is cool. and I used to be in dancing, and it's like all black college. Like, you know, I would love to go to an all black college. You know. Yeah. But I never thought about that. But so, and just the culture and everything, and some of the shots that they did one of the last scenes. This dude, he does this like elbow stand, and he actually broke his collarbone. The main actor broke his collarbone doing that dance move, and like they shot it in super slow motion, and it was like, oh, so good. Nice. So that's probably why. I mean, it probably wouldn't be the desert movie, but I can't pick. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Well, you know, I have maybe better follow up to that. Being that you're talking about the short that you're doing the direction for, doing the direction for Hazard, would be the director that's kind of inspiring you to be doing directing. It's like, I didn't know this was going to be hard questions.
I never prepare for these types of questions. We can pass.
I'll give you, like, who used to be my favorite one was Michael Bay. Because explosions and everything.
Why not?
If you're going to have something explode on, I always go back to the movie The Island. Because there's a quote I remember from Ewan McGregor. He was like, if I'm going to be in a movie where shit is blowing up left and right, I'm going to be in a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we talk about logistics. I mean, talk about the logistics that go through that man's brain. I mean, like...
Oh, he doesn't have any. He just gets the blank check. You've seen Six Underground?
I suppose.
What's the new Chris Hemsworth movie? Extraction. Even that movie was crazy. Anytime a director can get behind a camera and do some crazy crap, like strap themselves to a hood of a car and just go. And the way that movie was shot, like it was supposed to look like it was shot in like one take too, which was mad respect. So super long scenes. But going back, I mean, I would say honestly, Spike Lee, man, he paved the way.
Yeah, I mean, just when it comes to like being unique and having a voice as a filmmaker, like there's almost no comparison. Like obviously there are, but honestly, like when it comes to being like the only one who might be doing what you're doing, like that's how. I mean, I see him as a role model because it's like if you as a person ever feel like you're the only one doing what you're doing, or you feel like, you know, you don't necessarily know exactly what's coming next, I feel like he's a great role model to go off of.
And the last one for me would be Jordan Peele. I'm not a scary movie. Like, it was very, like, Get Out is as scary as I get. And, like, just even as a director, like, you know, like, stereotyping here, a black director doing scary. It's like, black people don't do scary movies, man.
Well, the one thing I would even give is the fact that, you know, when he came out with Get Out, is all you know Jordan Peele from is Key and Peele. You know him as the comedy guy, and then he literally puts Hollywood on their ear and says, "Oh, by the way, guess I've got this entire side of me that I haven't even scratched the surface."
Yeah, I brought all my white friends to that movie. And I watched me jump.
I was actually rewatching Key and Peele like maybe 2 weeks ago, and there's an episode where Jordan opens the show and says, "Oh, I love scary movies," and this was 10 years before Get Out. I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the joke he made was black people don't watch scary movies.
We don't. Yeah. No.
We've got Bobby T as a prime example of that.
Yeah, we have a friend Bobby, and he just we took. What did we take him to? Was it Us?
Is he black too?
Yeah.
Hey, so you got another black. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, he does not do scary movies.
No.
But no, I think that was us, because it was originally I thought it was just going to be me and him going. All of a sudden he comes in. Here comes his fiance. Here comes Bobby and his fiance. I'm like, I will go see a scary movie with that man anytime. As entertaining as the film was over there, so was the dude sitting next to me.
That's what all my white friends say. They're like, all right, like, because during Get Out, like, all of them were like trying to watch it, and I was like, oh no. I'm that one person in the movie theater that's like everybody's like, shh. I'm like, I can't.
He's coming with us to go see Halloween Kills.
There we go.
No.
They're looking at the posters in this room too. It's just like, you must be
That's all him. That's all him.
I'm just trying to keep my eyes on I Love You Man.
You got Nightmare on Elm Street, You're Next, Death.
No wonder. Now I understand why you have that in here.
What? I Love You Man?
I Love You Man.
Yeah, just to call it. Yeah, take the edge off. We got.
Well, he showed me pictures when he redid everything. I was like, really? You put that one up?
Yeah.
Now I understand.
It takes the edge off.
Yeah, it does.
For sure.
Paul Rudd does that to people.
That's what he does.
Paul Rudd takes the edge. That just needs to be his slogan. If I were his agent, I'd be trying to market him that way. I'd be like, you don't want an actor? You want an actor who takes the edge off? My man Paul, right?
Paul Rudd.
You know that guy from Clueless?
That'd be something Jason Segel would have said in press for I Love You Man.
He's so skinny there. Also, I'm looking at him right now. It's like he doesn't even look like he looks like my brother. Actually, he doesn't actually look like Jason Segel.
That's funny.
Weird.
No, but I'm kind of curious now because if I remember correctly, he's a lot taller than that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Movie magic once again.
Right?
Honestly, that's
Forced perspective.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, let's wrap up this interview. Where can people find the project, the Hazard Film Project, and if they want to get involved with the Kickstarter campaign, where can they find that?
Daniel, take it away.
Did you just say it?
So you can follow Hazard Film Project. It's at Hazard Film Project on Facebook, and Instagram, Twitter. Most of our stuff is done on Facebook, Instagram. The Kickstarter itself, it's going on for only 2 more weeks, and we're really, really wanting to meet that goal.
Last push.
We've gotten so far already. Basically, we have a couple weeks, though. Go to bit.ly/Hazard Kickstarter. So I don't know why there's a dot there. bit.ly/Hazard Kickstarter. All lowercase.
Yep.
So you can find it there. Like I said, you can find it on all of our social media stuff too. Very easy to find.
Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
We thought about TikTok.
We thought about TikTok. We can still do it.
No.
Who has the time?
Especially with what Trump's on right now.
This is true.
I'm waiting for the TikTok video to drop now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how you find the project. And then just follow us on the socials. We don't have a website yet. Kickstarter and social media are serving as our websites.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah.
All right, perfect. Thanks again, guys, for coming on. This was a blast. We gotta have you guys on again just to talk about movies sometime.
Yeah,
I would love that. I mean,
So it's just so hard to find people around. I don't know. It's just I feel like people are hiding. People like you guys exist, but there's. I feel like there are so many more of us that it's just we just need to get together more.
Mm-hmm.
Can
I ask you one more question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
DC or Marvel?
Movies or comic books?
That's a true geek question right there.
Wow.
Great geek response.
The geek response.
Which I think is funny, and he's not wrong because in middle to high school to past them when I was still reading my comics and whatnot.
Yeah.
I stopped reading because
Don't lie, you still do.
I got 6 months behind because I would there's a book where you can pre-order them 2 months in advance.
Yeah.
And I would get stacks like this every week. I ended up 6 months behind. I'm I'm out. But no, I read the Superman explicitly, that sort of thing and whatnot. But no, the movies that come out, I've been totally all Marvel. Yeah. Okay. So I think they need some work on DC side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a similar boat. I mean, God, I don't know. I would say the DC comics are better. I'm a Batman guy, but I'm also a Spider-Man guy. So
okay.
I don't have a definitive answer.
I'm a Hulk guy.
Yeah.
They haven't done a movie for him justice. So
yeah,
come on.
But you know what? I don't argue Disney's take on having him be a strong secondary character with that they've done with him with Mark Ruffalo.
Yep.
Because obviously Universal has taught us standalone Hulk movie is very hard to put together.
Yes, it is.
And make it work.
Yes.
So I'm completely okay with this idea of stringing basically his movie arc through other people's movies.
Yes.
And keep Mark Ruffalo because he needs to stay Bruce Banner.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Hot take, I like the Incredible Hulk a lot. So the Ed Norton one. It's great.
Yeah, but Ed Norton is also a bad Bruce Banner.
Well, we'll agree to disagree. I'm also a fan of the 70s TV show, so that
Gotcha.
influenced my Hulk love.
Gotcha.
So
Sure.
yeah. Anyway,
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having
Yeah,
us.
thank you.
absolutely. Thank you guys again, and we'll put all the plugs in our social medias as well. And
Sweet.
Thank you.
absolutely, thank you guys for coming on.
Anytime you want to talk movies, just let me know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, always welcome.